Welcome back to The Broken Brain. It's Thursday Thistory. Don't worry about if it's actually Thursday that it's released. It's a little late, guys, trying to make this happen. So, you know what? But it's here. Thursday Thistory is a weekly feature on The Broken Brain where we look at someone or something or things or people in the history of psychology, especially where it bumps up into culture as it is wont to do. So this, as I said, is a weekly thing. The full episodes are always available to all the patrons of The Broken Brain who are donating to help the program keep it going and helping out with our monthly charities as well. The first chunk is always available as a sample to everybody out there in the world who might be listening. So hope you enjoy this section. And if you're interested in becoming a member of the Patreon community, go to patreon.com/brokenbrain. or go to dwighthurst.com/support to find that and other ways you can support the program. But if you are a subscriber to Patreon, 50% of your donation will always go to the charity of focus within the time that you join, that we're focused on at the time you join, and will continue to go to payment to them for the duration of your time. As long as you're a paid member, 50% will go to the charity in the month that you chose. We're continuing our focus this month, the Lavender Rights Project. You can go to lavenderrightsproject.org, that's all one word, to learn about a nonprofit that helps Black trans individuals through providing legal help, legal advocacy, community organizing, even helping with supportive housing, and those that are navigating the legal system. They are a Black trans feminist organization that are committed to dismantling oppressive systems that get in the way of things. So once again, lavenderrightsproject.org. And if you are a donor, become a donor this month, then 50% of your donation will always go to the Lavender Rights Project. Now, as I often do when there is a month of focus, social focus on any area, with it being Black History Month, it always gets me wondering what kinds of history I was not taught growing up in America, the US of A, particularly as a white person. And so I always like to go and look into things, and I thought I would share some of my findings of things with y'all. Today I'm going to share with you the story of a psychologist, teacher, and school administrator in the early 1900s. In fact, we're going back in time to the span of time is between 1895 and 1934. And we're going to talk also about why that was not nearly long enough of a span of time for a person's life. But unfortunately, that's what we got to work with. But some cool things happened in that span of time. Dr. Inez Beverly Prosser was a psychologist, teacher, and school administrator who worked at a time when there was not a ton of opportunity for people, for women, for Black individuals in the U.S. She was born in 1895. She was like I think, seventh. Let me see, I wrote that down somewhere. Seventh of 11 kids. Lived and worked mostly in South Texas throughout her career and her life. Interesting thing, her parents were big advocates of education. A lot of things, and I've talked before and done some history episodes about how Black people in the early American history not only valued education as a way to improve the lives of their kids in particular and help, they also were active in voting and creating voting community action that helped to eventually led to some of the laws that led to free childhood education for everybody in the U.S. So anyway, her parents, since they did value education, they actually would move as educational opportunities became available for their kids. And they particularly did focus on Dr. Prosser. She wasn't Dr. Prosser at the time, but when she was a child. But they focused on her educational needs quite a bit as she had a great aptitude. There was some decision-making in the family about who to send to college. The parents had saved up enough for only one of their children, and ultimately it was decided to send her to earn her degree. She ended up going to Tillotson College and Tougaloo College, both in Texas, and teaching training and teaching degree from Prairie View Normal College is what it was called at the time. How about that? Normal College. That's a good name. I like that. But it's now called Prairie View A&M. And so she was valedictorian at that school. I'm going to go back and contradict what I just said. I apologize. She was a teacher. She was faculty at Tillotson College. She actually earned her bachelor's degree at Samuel Houston College or Huston College. I don't know how to pronounce that. That's Huston, I think. Anyway, and she also got a master's degree in educational psychology. That one was from the University of Colorado. She was involved with so many universities that my notes and the articles that I'm looking at are just all over the place, which I am leaving that in. She was so educated and worked in education so much. The reason I'm leaving my mistake in here is just to emphasize that she was all over education. That was her world and the psychology of learning. Eventually, by the way, she also was able to save and provide a college education for 6 of her siblings as well. So obviously a family tradition that she carried on, this heritage of the love and value of education. Schools, when she was young, were still highly segregated, and even school records and some of the historical records provided for Black children and Black families were spurious. In fact, the year of 1895 is one of the years that I found that she was born. There's some question over give or take a few years there. That was the one that popped up the most when I was looking, but I also saw 1897, 1894. So and that's just an emphasis there as well, that when you are looking at bad record keeping, I don't know, one of the only things I can say, back then they didn't have computers and shit, but, it makes you wonder about the value placed on that. What was society's value that they were placing on human beings? I think that at least, whether or not that's the reason for bad record keeping, maybe there's other reasons. I will say that that actually works as a metaphor, because I don't think we can argue that there was difficulty there in the way society was valuing Black people at the time. Now, not only was she educated in segregated schools, but she returned and taught. She went to Yoakum. That's a Texas town somewhere. Anyway, but she taught in segregated schools in that school district. She eventually became an assistant principal at Clayton Industrial School in Texas, and then she moved into a long-term, more full-time position that was more secure, that at a high school in Anderson, Texas, I believe. Anyway, she taught English. She coached spelling competitions. She was in charge of an interscholastic league, an organization that sponsored events for Black high school students in athletic and academic contests throughout the state. You could tell I was reading that, by the way. That came from an article called Inez Beverly Prosser and the Education of African Americans that you can find in the Journal of the History of the Behavioral Sciences. It's written by principal author Ludi Benjamin Jr. She earned, eventually, because of the teaching that she was able to do in college, as she moved into becoming college faculty, she got more opportunities for education and eventually earned her PhD in psychology at the University of Cincinnati. That was in the year 1933, which is going to come in a little bit of a sad way in the story coming up. But let's highlight that for a couple of key points there. She was, first of all, the very first Black woman in the U.S. to earn a PhD in psychology. During the time that she held a master's degree in education, and when she got into studying psychology as well, she also was able to work with her husband, Albert. They worked and established a private practice that was providing education and support for children in particular. She was also involved with some of the most pivotal legislation that existed to help Black children in education in the U.S., the history of the U.S. And that is where, unfortunately, we are going to stop for the main feed, and we will continue over on Patreon. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. Please share this, and if you would consider helping us to keep the broken brain cells on here at the podcast, and you're interested in supporting our nonprofit of note, go to patreon.com/brokenbrain, as I said before, and join. So love y'all, and we're pivoting now into just you patrons.